Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Cheer the Duck Up. How are you, my friend?
Not too bad, thank you very much. Yeah, pretty cheerful. How about you?
Yeah, good too.
Against all odds.
Yeah, against all odds. Well, actually, today I do have a tale to tell of ups and downs. So I lost my wallet, right, which is it fills you full of stress, right, and it's not a good feeling. So I wasn't feeling great last night, so I went for a walk down on the beach and I found some tall grass taller than me and I went to play in it.
Well, good. Well, it's good for you for taking positive action to try and cheer yourself up.
Yeah, exactly. I got suited and booted. I had a little doobie and then
Jazz Woodbine, they used to say back in the old days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's some crazy names for it. Yeah.
So I was wandering through this tall grass and it was just, I don't know, I just felt isolated and free. It was nice. Sometime during my enjoyable frolic, I've lost my wallet. Or it could be at home, or it could have fell down the side of the sofa. I don't know. I had a good look earlier, couldn't find it. I was stressed. And then on the way here, I really enjoy seeing people working out, right? Particularly if I see people that are overweight are working out, it makes me so happy because I think just the physical graft that takes alone is huge, right? Like just to get your running shoes on, and then when you're overweight, you're worried about people judging you, and not just when you're overweight, people are worried about being judged. So
we've all been there, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be overweight, you can just be unfit. Yeah, and just like to see somebody who's clearly taking those early steps. I get where you come from.
So it's huge. Just the fact they're there, just the fact they've put their running shoes on that morning. They've had to overcome a mental battle, a physical battle, a battle of will. There is so much there so it already makes me happy when I see it happen. And I was driving over a little bridge on the way here, and I saw 3 people that were overweight and they were taking action and they were jogging, and then I saw them kind of slowing down, so I wound my window down and I shouted, next lamppost, next lamppost. Because I remember when we were doing sprint training.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like the first step that brought us together, right? Was I said that I wanted to get fit, and my girlfriend works for you, and she said, oh, well, he really likes it, and he said he's got some advice for you. And then you went all David Sage on me, didn't you?
The deal was, if you do it, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the time I wasn't working out much myself, and I was like, I'll put myself out there. I'll get up early in the morning and go do this. If you are willing to do it, I'm more than willing to do it with you. And my God, it was rewarding.
I remember too when there's times I felt like I've wanted to stop and you've been shouting at me, right? Like keep going, keep going. So I pushed through it and I get there and that feeling is amazing. And then I realise when my mind tells me to stop, I've got way further to go. And my mind's just being a bitch, and I can carry on here. Like I've got more in the tank there. I was shouting out to them. I was like, "Next lamppost! Don't stop! Go! Give it next lamppost!" And they kind of looked a little bit shocked.
Is that why all the windows on your car were smashed earlier when you had a black eye this morning?
yeah. That's right. So,
no, but I get it though. Yeah, so positive.
Yeah, so I was shouting to them and I was gassing them up, and then they made it to the next one, and then they kind of sped up a bit. I was like, go on, you're killing it. I was like screaming at them, gassing them up, and I was like, end of the bridge, don't stop till you get to the end of the bridge, you're so close, push it. And they got there and I was like clapping, I was shouting at them. I was like, well done mate, well done. And they had this like big beaming smile on their face, and I love the feeling of gassing someone up, right, and giving someone a nice big bubble to float around in. Some people, they like to fuel their ego by popping other people's bubbles and putting them down and being as I call bar guys, right? Mm-hmm. So they're just so insecure that they have to make fun of everybody else because they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. So then to see how happy they were and they were proud of themselves, and like if they went any more red, mate, I think they would have started to deck it. They really pushed it hard there.
They must have been feeling like really uncomfortable, really like a lot of pressure on the heart and the lungs.
Yeah, exactly.
Must have been wanting to stop really, really badly.
Really badly. But I was shouting at them like, well done, I'm proud of you, you've smashed it, be proud of yourself. And just to see, obviously they were insecure, and maybe at first they didn't know what I was shouting, but then they realised that I was being the hype man, right? Like, so I love that feeling of gassing people up. Any opportunity I've got to take it there. And for me at least, if I ever feel low or if I ever feel miserable, making other people happy always brings me back up.
Oh, good for you. That's a really it's an amazing way to cheer yourself up, and like, you know, by cheering others up and making that, maybe they'll go on and cheer others up too, and off we go. You know what I'm saying?
A cycle continues.
Yeah, bit of togetherness, mate. That's what we need. It seems to be a lot of division all around us, doesn't there? Thank God you didn't stop and say, best of luck, really go and give it some, as long as you're not a vegan, because I don't agree with that. Hey mate, are you a Trump fan? Yeah, you're not? Okay, go smash. Or or if you are, trip over your laces, you cunt.
Just none of this nonsense that society tells us is important. Real life human interaction and how good that feels, even down to do you know when we were all locked in our houses, right? And like you weren't allowed to even look at anybody, and you'd start to fart to cover coughs and stuff. Right? Like the whole world went upside down
when they stole our freedom away.
Even then, I found that what made me happy was as simple as, I don't know, when you're driving and you let someone out and they give you that little hand wave.
Oh yeah.
Right, even just that, right? Like that little interaction there, it's like, oh, really nice. But it does fill me full of fire if I let someone out wave and they don't wave back. Like, fuck you! But like, just like human interaction's good for you, man.
It sure is. I mean, here we are recording. We're in the bunker here under the mean streets of Llandudno, North Wales. Sorry for any Welsh people for the pronunciation, and it's not good enough. But I am English. I'm trying, and and one of the beautiful things about living here and stuff, it's a small town. You have that small town vibes. You can't really get away with a lot. So people will always wave when you let them out. Like even if you're stopping at a zebra crossing and it's like you're supposed to stop.
Yeah.
And they'll still just go, thank you. You know, and if you notice, like all the kids around here see their parents doing it. So the amount of times you'll just stop to let like people across you in the zebra crossing, and the little kids at the back giving it, oh, thank you, look what I'm doing. You know, and God, that'll just brighten your day. Those little moments, you know.
Yeah,
it's a really lovely, beautiful thing about living here in particular. But like it's those little moments that you don't have to do. Like you could easily just be there and just like whatever, you know. Yeah, well, good for you. I've been trying to cheer myself up a little bit too. I've been intermittent fasting. I've been doing
That's
that.
good for you, that is.
Yeah, well, good. 8 hours and 16 hours, right? 8 hour eating window, 16 hours not eating. I've been doing that for like the last 3 weeks, and it's really, really improving my energy levels and feeling like real positive. Waking up in the morning like ready to go and all this good stuff. I think that's something to do with it. I'm not sure 100%. I don't read up about these things too much. I read how to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to know. I don't want to hear what everyone else's experience of it is. Let me just find that myself, you know. And once I know what I'm doing, and there's different ways of doing intermittent fasting and all the rest of it. But this is the way that I find is worked the best for me. And just eating healthy, cutting as much sugar out of my diet as possible at the same time.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're trying to set yourself a goal, it's good to like bolster it with a couple of extra side goals too. Yeah. So you're not just sitting there with that one goal in mind, and then you've got it and you're fiddling with it and whittling it, and oh my God. And
little reachable goals as well, right? Like things that are achievable. Like I will go for a run today, and
yeah, for sure. So like if you're going to go toward the trouble of intermittent fasting, for example, then when you are in your eating window of 8 hours, don't go and eat like loads of chocolate cake and Haribo. That's kind of a bit silly, isn't it? Like you might as well give it the best chance that you can to succeed and make it the best for your body as you can. So yeah, just like training. Been doing some kickboxing classes, which I'm quite new to, and like pushing myself out of the comfort zone and learning all these techniques and it's cheered me up no end, mate. Good. And also the sun's out. Oh no, one other thing I would say that's cheered me up. I've been making some new ice cream flavors.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
What have you been making?
Oh my God, I knew you'd say that. When I make ice cream, I just get in the zone and just like start banging things out. I know one of the things. You know what a brookie is?
A brookie?
Yeah, a brookie.
No.
Okay, I had to do some like analysis with the staff and ask them all, do you know what a brookie is? They all knew what one is and I didn't. So I guess, okay, cool, we're going to call this brookie and caramel flavour, right? So I had this, it's a brownie and a cookie together, smashed together. I know. I know. It could have been so much more interesting than that, didn't it? What a shame.
Yeah, what about a crownie?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should write to somebody. Nobody to do with this, just somebody that... And so basically I had a load of brookie bites delivered, like as a what do you call it, a swap from my Asda delivery. I was like, I know, I'll try and make ice cream out of it, and it turned out into like an awesome ice cream. And I've been doing white chocolate and coconut cookie, and everyone likes that one. Yeah, and just people's reactions to it's good, and bringing Turkish delight back.
Yeah,
you know, just enjoying working here and enjoying people's reactions to what we're doing. We have like a kids party in from the local school, all these little kids having some ice cream, sitting in our booths, and it's lovely to see people sitting inside again in the dining room. You know, and there's plenty of reasons to be cheerful, bro.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, if we start talking about the reasons not to be cheerful, like, we'll just run out of tape. So let's just leave it with the good ones, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We're trying to cheer the duck up. After all.
We are trying to cheer the duck up, and part of that is you have to consciously choose to be happier and look
put some effort in, man,
at the good things, right? So, like we mentioned in the last episode about how perception is most of reality. So if you're going out with a negative perception, it's like, oh, well, yeah, the sun's out, I'm going to be hot all day, I need to put sun cream on, and then I'll probably get burned anyway, blah, blah, blah. Instead of thinking, oh, the sun's out, I can take the kids to the beach, I can go around the mountains, I can explore the woods, I can see the sunset, I can walk around in shorts and a t-shirt, like, I can spend time with the people that I love, and everything.
Your perception is like your version of reality that happens in your brain. Right? You get to curate that, right? Don't you? So I mean, it's like, why fill it with nonsense and negativity and stuff? Not that it's not good to address the negative things in life, because you do have to, and you have to get things off your chest for sure, right? But I mean, that's why every single person uses the glass pint half empty, half full sort of an analogy, because it is the easiest to understand. But my God, there's a reason we all use that analogy, is because it's really, really useful. So it is. I was just going to say, it was Monty Don said on Gardener's World the other day. Sorry if this is too exhilarating for you all. It says if your coriander seed bolts, right, which means it produces seeds when you just want leaves. Yeah. It says when life gives you coriander seeds, just keep them. They taste great. And I just thought to myself, do you know what, Monty?
You lovely, happy man.
Yeah, it could be worse, couldn't it? Yeah.
Speaking of that, I've been working on my garden. I was kind of inspired by you, to be honest, because I know you were doing it and you were excited about it, and I wanted to learn because it's important.
It's a huge thing to learn. You can just spend your whole life learning about it as well, mate. It's great, isn't it?
It's huge, mate. So big. And then I put a couple of raised beds in. I dug a little veg patch, and I've got a greenhouse to get them started and stuff as well. And then I didn't realise until I started working on my own garden, how is gardening not just magic? It is. It's just slow magic, right? Because you can take a seed, which has been left in like your granddad's tackle box for 100 years. It just lies dormant. You put it in the ground, add water to it. It wakes up. It grows this weird antenna out that eats the sun and it eats the light, and then grows, and then it gives you food, or you can replant it. If you grow one piece of corn from a single kernel, and you have a good run, and you get like maybe 3 to 4 cobs, and plant all of that, you've got a field in 2 years.
Oh yeah, no, the only reason it's not magic is a simple. It's just your usage of the word magic. Like, it is magic. If you think it's magic and we call it magic, we just decided it is magic. Clearly, it's magic. I'm sick of. Everybody taking all the magical mysticism and the mystery out of life and stuff with their just pissing on everyone's cornflakes.
Yeah.
Fuck it. It's magic.
I'd be embargo.
Magic, I tell you.
It is magic, mate. And it's incredible because for me, at least, it really made me feel part of everything. And less like this like kind of creature that's just, oh, I'm so self-aware and sentient that this is a world all for me. I realised as I planted these seeds and I watched them grow, and then how quick they started to grow, and now I'm eating them and I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, that's also what humans do.
It sure is, yeah.
Right? And we overlook this, right? So say a pregnancy, seed, egg, bang, grow a human.
Oh yeah.
And we can accidentally make humans.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're not wrong there. Once you've seen that happen in the flesh, it's like it changes you for the rest of your life, doesn't 100%. It? You can't. I mean, we are looking at getting. We're going to have guests on our podcast, obviously, and at some point we're going to be having somebody in to talk to us all about gardening.
Do a day on the farm.
And yeah, we are. We're going to volunteer to do a day on the farm and see what effect that has on our mood. Okay, got some things lined up. But the reason that we want to bring somebody in and talk about gardening, if you bear with us, some people might be just thinking gardening. Like when I was younger, I wouldn't have really wanted to give it the time of day.
Yeah, well, you're wrong. So listen.
Well, no, it's the thing that you'll find about gardening is if you speak to anybody who does it, whether it's growing vegetables or flowers or whatever element of gardening they're into, it's like they ask them what they get out of it, and every time it's the same answer. It's like, oh, it makes me feel chilled, it makes me feel happy, it makes me feel peaceful, it makes me feel at one with nature.
A therapeutic.
It's basically therapy. Gardening, it turns out, actually is therapy, basically, and it certainly has been for the two of us, hasn't it? But yeah, over the lockdown period, we both started our vegetable gardens and we got into it, and it is about finding your place in nature. And even if it is just in your back garden, it's a little retreat that you can go to and you can, just enjoy yourself and be at peace. But the thing I love about gardening so much is the pace of it, right? So it's like you can plan your garden for like the next year, okay? And you have to like plan when you're going to order your seeds and when you're going to start your plants and when you're going to start them indoors or outdoors. And it just gives you this outlook on the world that's stretched out over a much longer period of time. I find that really helped, especially in the lockdown period, because you're looking at the day ahead of you and you're thinking, oh my God, you don't know what's going to happen next. And there's so much unknown and unknown. It causes that fear and anxiety inside of us and that. So if you get involved in gardening and you realise you haven't got to think about today, there's no point thinking about today. Everything's about weeks and months and planning, and it just gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that in the future.
I totally understand that. I think as well, in a world that is marketed and framed and made for instant gratification, so the dopamine rush you get from a social media post, the pill you take for your heartburn, like all of these different things, having some delayed gratification. So you have to do a lot of hard work now, so you can have some food in October, and if you fuck it up, it won't work. And then you have to learn, and you have to go back, and you have to have these continuous battles with the slugs and the snails and the caterpillars and the crows and all these other motherfuckers that come and try and eat all my veg. Like, oh, I planted that, but like, what is
aphids?
Yeah.
But we're going to get too specific. We're going to like just pickle everybody's brain with this gardening conversation. But like, it is important to both of us because we've got something from it, right? This is what we're trying to find in life. We're trying to grab those things in life that are actually going to help us get through, things that we can use to sort of to cheer the fuck up.
Yeah. It all always comes back to cheering the fuck up. And I find as well that as you get older, I'm only 28, so it's not like I'm like this peak of wisdom, but I don't know, if you're younger, I'm kind of like your cool big brother, and David's like your cool uncle, right? So like we're not quite as preachy as dads, right? So we're kind of around that point. But what I found was that as you get older and you start worrying about all of this nonsense and like your bills and your rent and your council tax and whether this girl likes you or what you're going to do, or I should have my life together, look at this person, and then you start comparing, and comparison's a thief of joy, you should never do that. And you get to this point where the world dulls and you lose the magic of the world because you realize that it's all a lie, and you get cynical and stuff. But then when you're with your kids, and my first like really profound kind of moment I had from this is I was on the beach with my two kids, and my son asked me why sometimes we come down and the water's right at the top of the beach, and other times we come down and it's a long walk, it's like half a mile away down the beach. And then as I started to explain to him, I realized that the whole reason this ocean is moving back and forward is because of a rock floating around in the sky. This a celestial body knocking about in the sky is the reason this happens. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you know what? Right? And
don't ask me.
And then you're looking at caterpillars turning into butterflies. Like we said, seeds turning into whole ass oak trees. And then everything's magic and everything's amazing. And when you explain it to a kid and you see it through the eyes of a kid, you take them to the zoo for the first time and you let them see like a crocodile or an elephant, especially, they're way bigger than you think they are in person, right? Like when you see them on TV, you recognize they're big. When you see them in real life, they don't look real.
Yeah.
They really don't look real, and it's incredible. And being able to explain this to the kids and relive it, it just, I don't know, it kind of reignites everything, and it's
like learning it all over again with new eyes, isn't it? Like vicariously through their eyes. I think when your kids are born, I think basically like a new version of you is born too, isn't it? And the thing about being a man, being a dad, it is the most important thing that you'll ever have to do in your life and stuff. And for everybody out there who's listening and who hasn't actually become a father yet, or if there's any women listening, if you've become a mother yet, it's worth remembering that, like, you know, as it is the biggest challenge you'll ever face, the most important thing that you'll ever do in your life is no harm in putting some effort and thought into it now. And I'd just say that, like, I wish when I was younger, before I had kids, I'd like come up with some sort of game plan, right?
Yeah.
Because it just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, I'm not going to have kids until this is happening or that's happening. But like 50% of kids born in this country are born sort of not on purpose.
Yeah.
It's a nice way of putting it, right?
Yeah.
So you
unplanned.
Unplanned pregnancies and stuff. So like you don't know when it's going to happen to you, and when it does happen, you better be on your game, because there's no break and it just goes on. And
that being said, right, I heard that a lot. Which is true. It is true. But if you're listening to this and you've recently found out you're going to be a dad, right, and whether it was planned or not, it is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Hands down, no question.
Oh yeah.
They are an actual gift, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? It can be difficult. It can be hard. You've got a lot of responsibility. You're always worrying, oh my God, if I fuck them up now, or if I don't look at this picture they've handed me, is she going to be telling this to a therapist in 16 years' time? And you've got all of these pressures and worries. But when you know, and when they look at you, like the world could catch fire, or a demon could come down from the sky or crawl out a hole, they're going to run and hide behind you because they trust you to keep them safe in the entire world. And there is no better feeling. They are incredible when you see them grow and you see them learn, and their personality comes out, and just everything about it is magic and amazing. And yeah, it's difficult, but I personally think that the rewards way outweigh how difficult it is.
Yeah, it's the next level of meaning, isn't it? It's like the next level.
It's the whole point, right?
Yeah, it's like life before children is one thing. Caring for a child that you've brought into the world is a completely different matter altogether, isn't it? And the whole thing's laced with like sleepless nights and hard work, and you lose contact with friends, you lose contact with family, you start to feel isolated, you're arguing with your partner or your wife. For some reason, when you look back on it all just disappears. And all you can remember is curls and giggles and cuddles, and it is the best thing that anyone could ever do. But like, this is also one of the other hardest thing about it is trying to step up and be a man, and that is like it's just not easy, man. It's, to say the least. You know, it's just the challenge of a lifetime.
It's you deprioritize yourself, right? So it's a strange feeling to truly love something more than you love yourself.
Yeah.
I know you say that to your girlfriend, and I'm sure you feel like you mean it, or you might even mean it. But for me, at least, from my experience, until I held my daughter for the first time, she was my firstborn, I held her, and then I realized, oh, this is what love is.
Yeah.
Like, I would run through a melting glass factory to save this kid.
For sure.
There's not even a question.
Maybe we're designed that way, to throw ourselves on the hand grenade, as it were. Like, it's like, you know, once you've seen your wife give birth, or your girlfriend give birth, it's like there's no doubt about who's the strongest sex anymore. It's like, dude, if one of us has to like be out being a lumberjack and the tree falls down and squishes them, like, it's probably best for everybody if it's me. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, fuck's sake, don't leave me with the kid. Like, no, I'm out. See you later. Yeah, you stay here. I'll deal with all that. Yeah,
that was an unpleasant experience. Like, my firstborn was born via C-section, so I didn't really see anything, and I just got handed this kid. So it was like, okay, yeah, great.
My eldest was too. It was a very traumatic. You stood there with your dick in your hand, going, "Does anyone want a cup of tea?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Feel really out of place. And with my daughter too, the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck a couple of times.
Oh jeez.
So as they took her out, like, I see them like unraveling, and you think that babies are fragile.
Oh yeah.
They are whipping them around over their head, and that, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like they're super.
It's like, I did this 7 times already, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Today I've done it 7 times, but then when my son was born, he was born naturally, and I didn't want to look, and I knew I didn't want to look, and then at the midwife I said, "Oh, do you want to look?" Yeah, right then. So,
Tom, you didn't.
Yeah. So I peeked down just as it got to the point, like just after, like, they crown and the pressure builds up, and then it's just kind of like
like a little.
Yeah, it just all kind of comes out, and then that happened, and I honestly, it took me a good like 4 months to get a hard on again. It's like, I know what happens, and that is a fucking, like, all of pregnancy is a miracle. I agree, it's amazing. You're growing a human, your body's changed, it's magic. Like things like breast milk, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I would like to see a man put up with that, you know. Like,
the baby cries,
blokes that would like to,
or if the baby gets sick, then somehow the breast milk just knows and puts antibodies and stuff. Like, magic and amazing. But the actual, like, nitty gritty, watching this blah blah blah, it's like, that's not a miracle, that's a fucking alien. It's got a crushed up head, and it looks all, because obviously my daughter didn't have to be squeezed out the birth canal, did she? Right.
Yeah.
So she looked all like precious and that, and then my son was born, and he looked like a cone head.
Yeah. No, like, they don't tell you that though. You know, that's the thing. They never.
And
tell
all
you
babies
these
look like
things.
aliens. If anybody tells, oh, your baby's cute, you're fucking lying. All of them look like aliens. Until about,
it's like something's gone wrong. Whatever happens. Yeah.
Until a few weeks old, they're like interchangeable in it. Like they all look the same.
Get some crazy advice. Yeah, I have to tell you about my mate who was at maternity class with him and his missus.
That doesn't sound fun.
No, it wasn't fun. Coming into work, and he's like, I am so sick of this, like, stern matron type that's holding these classes. Like, she's brutalizing all the men and just making it sort of like terrible. And then he comes in this one week and he's particularly like pale. I'm like, dude, what's wrong? He says, you know what she said to us last night? She says, like, when the baby comes, it's important to remember babies, they can't regulate their body temperature like us adults can, right? So the way I've got of keeping all you parents to keep that in your mind is just simply remember, baby too hot, dead baby. Baby too cold, dead baby.
Oh, wow.
It's my face like something in the back of his head, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from that point onwards, like, he was terrified from that point onwards. Like, how many blankets to put on the baby? Like, just sitting next to the cot all night, like with 2 blankets on, and then 1 blanket on, and then 2 blankets on, and then checking the breathing. You know what I mean? It's just like, just no idea. It's like,
paranoia.
Yeah, thanks, lady. Like, that's not the snappiest of catchphrases you could have come up with for that one.
I definitely found that more so with my first, but I was over at the Moses basket every 20 minutes. She's not dead, is she? She's not dead, is she? She's not made a noise. She's not moved. Does she need changing?
I still do it now. My youngest are 4 and 5. I'll go check their breathing. Yeah. They're like, Dad, fuck off. I'm trying to sleep. I'm like, oh, yeah.
They're eating their dinner. You got your finger under there.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I still do it. My eldest, even, he's 9. I don't know. What are you going to do? Listen, you know, we're here by the seaside. I've got a question for you, because you were brought up in Plymouth, yeah?
Yes, yeah, I grew up in Plymouth.
What's the crack with the seaside there? Have you got like a lovely sandy beach? Were you brought up by the seaside? And that?
Yeah, so it's a seaside town. It's called like a Plymouth, England's Ocean City or something like that. I think it's like the kind of city tagline.
Oh, because is it anywhere near Southampton?
Well, not really, but it's not far.
Okay, it's just
like a couple hours away.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But I live near there too. I lived in Gosport for a little while, but when I lived in Plymouth, like, you've got the Barbican in the Hoe, which is all the seafront. It's nice, like, kind of touristy if you're going to visit. Living there is a different thing. The best, one of the best things I've ever done is leave Plymouth. Like, it's just this weird kind of, not all of it. Obviously, my experience is from the specific sliver that I have.
People say the same about this town that we're in, this beautiful seaside town that we love so much.
Though, right?
Exactly. I don't think it's natural to want to sort of flee and find new experiences. So, like, you saying that about Plymouth doesn't necessarily mean bad things about Plymouth. You know, it's just my experiences weren't good, and I don't really like to visit. I can only visit for a couple of days at a time, and I think part of this is because I was bullied in school, right? Pretty relentlessly. I was short. I had a stutter. I have a stutter, but it was real bad then. Like, I've got it mostly under control now. Kids are shit, aren't they?
Yeah.
Not our kids. I mean, school kids. Yeah. The ones that bullied us in particular. Fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them. Like, they're ruthless as well. But I guess it comes from a place of innocence too. They don't know any better yet, do they? Or their parents haven't done their job or something. So yeah, I was one of 6. So most of my clothes were hand-me-downs. Relentlessly bullied and all of this sort of noise. It wasn't until I left that I really discovered who I was. So, like, now I'm very confident, right? And I'm not arrogant with it, but I'm very sure of myself. I know who I am. I've been pushed past breaking point, and I flexed back and I healed. And so now I'm very confident in myself. I'm full of myself. I don't really get shy. I don't really get anxious anymore. I'm confident. But then when I go back there, it kind of reminds me of the victim I used to be. And when I would get picked on, or I'd get beaten up, or I'd get my stuff taken off me, or my lunch money taken off me, or I would give people my lunch money to hope that they would be my friend or something, and I'd have people pretending to be my friend, and it was just a ruse to beat me up and all of these horrible things. And so then when I go back there, I didn't know where I was. I had a lot of people around me in my family doing that thing that I've mentioned before, where they pop your bubble to make themselves feel better. So if I ever try to come out of my comfort zone, a good example was music. It ended up being my job now eventually, but I started to learn guitar, and I was told that's annoying, stop it, play it quieter, right?
Oh, jeez.
And then I tried to sing. When you first try and sing, it's never going to sound good. I was told singing doesn't suit me. So I didn't even start, like, I got my first guitar when I was 13. I didn't start trying to sing until I was 21, 22, and I lived hundreds of miles away. And even at that, I wouldn't sing in front of people. I wouldn't sing even in front of really close friends, because I was so shy and insecure, because they wouldn't let me get out of my comfort zone without driving me back in there. So every time I go down there, I do kind of feel this a kind of way again, like this kind of like insecure. I used to walk all the way to work and back because I couldn't get on the bus and ask for a child single because I didn't want to stutter and look like a dickhead. And all of these things, I've grown, I've flourished, I'm a man now. I have a gorgeous girlfriend, I've got my kids, I've got my house, I've got my friends, I've got my job, I've got my system, and it's all thanks to me, right? Like, and the hard work that I've done, and then I was lucky enough to get some opportunities. But every time I'm back there, it does kind of flick in my head this kind of way that I was as a victim. I've got a couple of really good friends there, and a few like mates and like.
So you don't go back to too often?
No, it's hard because obviously my brothers and my sister are down there, and my mum is down there, and they're my kids' mum's mum, so the kids' nana's down there too. So I have to go down so they can have a relationship with them and stuff. But then every time I'm down there, when I moved away, I had to change a bunch of things about myself. One of the things was I could never admit when I was wrong. I would always scramble. So even if I said that the sky is green and you're like, it's not, mate, it's blue, I would argue that green is a shade of blue and it's in the same hue system of the primary colour. I couldn't just say, oh, you know what, mate, my bad.
That's human nature. Like it's human nature to do that, but my God, it gets in the way of some really good moments, doesn't it? That trait that we all have. Yeah,
and it blocks out so much. And all of these things, like very ego fueled, all the things that I changed about myself, they're still doing. So obviously, I moved to Gosport first, and I met a bunch of people there, which helped me learn certain lessons. And then I moved up here, and I learned. And now I've taken enough from all of these people that I've met, and I've grown, and I'm my own person, and I'm established, and I'm confident, and I'm happy. But then I go back down there, and all of these people are still in this, like, oh, well, who do they think they are? So who do you think you are? Humble yourself. Like, I've been humbled so hard by life that I'm happy with who I am. I'm content with who I am. And I go back there, and I see they're still doing the same things, and they're talking about they're retelling the same stories from when I left.
Well, you should be,
almost a decade ago.
You should be grateful because you've got that marker to remind you how, like, where you've come from and where how far you've come, and it's an ongoing journey. You still got so far to go.
Yeah,
it's just worth having that little nightmare there waiting for you. Just remember, if things go really bad, you could end up back there, so keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not to say that Plymouth's a bad place or anything. So I'm talking about going back to your old scenario where you've come from. It doesn't. We mean in this scenario, this example, it's linked to a place, but we're talking about, like, it could be relationships, it could be workplaces, it could be anything. I mean, as
a place, it's just a place, right? Like it is pretty. So, like I said earlier, if I would recommend you go visit.
Well, funnily enough, actually, my granddad was from Plymouth, right?
Oh yeah,
I know.
I never knew that.
Yeah, there you go. So I went back there as a kid, like a young kid and stuff, and it was really beautiful and very special. I just wondered if, like, they say that you should live by the sea at least once in your life, don't they? It really just gives you something special in your soul, just to have that wide open space that you just don't see. That humbling vastness of looking out at the ocean. Because I'm from Coventry.
Yeah.
Coventry is the centre of the country. I'm pretty sure that it's, like, as far away from the sea as you can get.
Is it, like, landlocked, is it?
Well, to say the least, yeah. I mean, it's hundreds of miles to the sea from there. If it's true that you should live by the sea once in your life, then for sure you should live in a big city too, right?
Yeah.
Coventry's not the biggest
city.
Learn
a lot from it. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot, I'm very grateful to have been brought up in Coventry. It's not the biggest city, but it's not the smallest city either. So it's like it's the manageable thing to squeeze into your head as a kid, as you're working out what it is that you've been born into. You can kind of work it out. There's all these different areas of Coventry, and then you have the town centre. And I'm very grateful for being brought up there and for moving here and to have those two sides of my life to look at and stuff. But
contrast.
But the best thing about Coventry was, like, when I was playing music, obviously, we played some amazing gigs there. And I think if I went back there, those are the memories that would come back to me probably.
Yeah.
Because they override those feelings of being bullied at school. Because I went through some similar experiences to yours as well, and just, like, a lot of misery that I left behind in Coventry too. But before I left there, we got to do some really cool stuff when I was in my band,
Yeah, like, I do definitely find...
Coventry has some interesting characters, actually.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about the time I went out with the lesbian murderer?
A lesbian murderer?
Yeah.
Weirdly, no.
Yeah, I dated a lesbian murderer. She was, I met her in the traditional way. You go to a nightclub and
Is that how you traditionally meet lesbian murderers?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. This is how you met ladies back in the day. Met ladies. What kind of freaks is that? That's like fucking. What a lecherous, filthy fucking way to put it. You know, let me meet some ladies. Hello, lady.
No.
No,
Get him on, man.
no, I was young and gorgeous. You just go up to a girl in a nightclub. It'd be not like this wreck of a bloke you see in front of you now, and just start dancing and get closer and closer and go, try and put the kiss on them. You know, put your best move on them. And anyway, so we're in a nightclub smooching away, and you swap phone numbers.
Yeah.
It's a landline in those days, so you have to phone and you get through to someone's dad and all this good stuff. And it was like, let's go and have a date, and we did. And the problem with doing it that way is like you don't know what they really look like though. It's like last time you saw them was 3 o'clock in the morning from not very far away. Like
9 pints deep. Like.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, not sure what's going to turn up here. And sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad. This is why I'm really glad we didn't have like Tinder when I was a kid. I would have shagged my knob like off. It would be off. It would have been lost somewhere. I would have just misplaced it. Like, you know, it was crazy. It was bad enough. Like, and she turned up and she was like, "Oh man, she's really pretty. Like, you know, wow." We sat down. You've got a lot of energy. Like, and something really interesting about her. You know, it's like, this is cool. And we sat down. We're talking away, and then she told me she had like a girl she lived with who was like an on-off lesbian lover. And I was like, okay, and that's different. How cool is this word? Like, this girl's really interesting. It's like, we vibed and we go from bar to bar and having a little kiss and a cuddle. And it's like, oh, let's do this again. It's like, yeah, let's do that. You know, okay, cool. It's like, oh, this is nice. So far, so good. And we went on the second date and more of the same. And she started to explain about herself, who she was. And she had this, like, she'd been through a lot in her life. And she was like this, like, fascinating human being, you know, to talk to. And it's like, wow, this is an amazing person to have got to know. This is really interesting and really lucky. And she's hot, you know. That night we went our separate ways, and I was like, okay, well, I'll text you and let's do this again. Okay, cool. And up until then we've been texting each other, and it was just all like, you know, like, what you were doing? Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Back in those good old days, you didn't have like Facebook, you didn't have pictures of everything as they documented their existence. Yeah, you know, at least a little bit.
Oh, Charlie's had quinoa for breakfast.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's at least a little bit was left to the imagination, and it was still a lot more fun and just lovely and organic. And then the text stopped, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like texted away, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, clearly she's realised I'm an absolute knobhead.
Yeah, you've been ghosted.
Yeah, I wonder which particular element of my fucking multiple wrong and characteristics that she's got an issue with. Oh well. Then I saw on the news this area of Coventry where she said she was from was on the news with a reporter doing a piece to camera about this young girl that had stabbed her lesbian lover to death. And I was like, oh shit, no. And then it was like, wait a minute, that is where she said she lived. And then they flashed the mugshot up there. It was her.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she basically stabbed her to death.
Wow.
And I was like years later, like, I'm telling this to my wife, like we're lying there in bed one morning chatting away, and I says, oh, do you know what I ever tell you about this random occurrence that happened? She's like, nah, fuck off, that's bullshit. And I was like, look, okay, Googled it and found it on the internet. We found like the news report from when it actually happened with this poor girl's mugshot and all this story about the misery that she'd gone through. And it's so sad. It's just a night drinking that went wrong, really, is what happened there. That's
crazy. Like, not to get too morbid and stuff, like, but if you're going to kill someone, stabbing them is such a horrible personal way to do it, right?
It's a crime of passion in the end, you know. Those, I guess, you know, they'd had this relationship and fallen out, and
yeah, that's crazy. I've never really been that angry to where I thought, like, right, you know what, I can seriously do this. I can seriously.
But have you ever been that drunk where you lost control? That's the thing, right? You know, I mean, I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure I heard that they were drinking like high strength cider was in the article.
Oh, that 8% do you know what I mean? Fucking rocket fuel shit that you get for £1, isn't it?
Just roomy stuff. Like, you know, I want to be ruined.
Like the cider equivalent of special brew in it. Like,
yeah, you got it, man. It's a little bit easier to get down. You know, oh my God, I used to drink that when I was younger, though.
That's nuts, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the kind of characters. Coventry's full of characters. Like, it's full of really interesting people, full of crazy occurrences. Like, that's insane. I had another lad I went to school with and sat next to him who's in prison now because he walked into a nightclub and shot somebody in the face.
Oh, fuck.
A packed nightclub, you know, killed him. Insane. And now he's in prison. I was talking to my friend and we were looking at the paper. There's his face on the front of the paper. I'm like, oh, what's it? Oh.
Oh dear. Oh
What's
dear.
he on there for? I was like, oh, that's right. Great. You know, yeah, another lad I went to school with was murdered. I sat next to him as well. So yeah, it's a lot going on. When you got that many people all together, you got a hell of a lot going on. You know what I mean?
For sure. And like, it is interesting. Like, it's especially interesting to women. They love all this murderous serial killer shit, right? Like,
Oh, they love a wrong'un.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
love
they
a wrong'un.
love a wrong'un.
All these.
Oh, he macheted someone's hand off. Oh, the sexy
Oh, did
bastard.
he? Oh, did like, yeah. And you see,
I don't know what that's
on the
about.
front cover of these like chat magazines, where it's like, oh, my dad had me locked in a sex dungeon for 8 years.
Oh my god.
Wow, only 65p. It's like, why are you reading this, you wacky woman?
Yeah.
Like this is surreal. But I am interested in the psychology of it, right? Because I like to know why people do the things that they do, so then I can take from their lessons and I say, okay, well, I know that the reason I want to call this guy a cunt now is because I'm getting all of these chemicals. I wait for these to dissipate and I won't feel this way anymore. So I take some deep breaths. This guy is still a cunt, but he's only a cunt inside my mind.
So you're saying, like, because you didn't kill somebody under those circumstances, why should this cunt?
Like, yeah. So like, how did it get to that point? Because that isn't really something that, like, you don't just wake up one day and think, right, I'm going to walk down the club and bang someone in the face. Like,
It comes from abuse, though, mate. It comes,
Yeah.
surely it comes from abuse.
So it
Somebody should have
always
put-
comes from somewhere. So I watch the documentaries because I want to know, like, why did you do it? Right, so you watch like Jeffrey Dahmer and
Oh yeah, what was the one?
Ted Bundy.
Don't fuck with
and-
cats or something. What was that?
Yeah, oh, that was fucking horrible
Yeah.
to watch. I don't remember the guy's name, but when you see, some of them seem quite sound of mind, right? It's like, why did you do it? And they're just like, because I wanted to do it. That isn't a satisfying answer, but that is his answer, because I wanted to, so I did. It's like, well, that's fucked up. Where's your empathy?
Well, you can't
switch and
square
this,
that
and
one
the
off
other?
in your own mind, can you?
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, I wouldn't.
But then,
That's how
you
people-
can understand it more, like you said, when people have had like horrible things happen to them, and then there's like attachment, a theory about like if you have a bad time as a kid, if you're abused and stuff like that, it tends to lead to these wrong wirings of the brain, like the pleasure and the pain bit gets all mixed up. And I'm obviously waffling. I'm not a fucking scientist. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but
No,
like,
you're allowed an opinion though, bro. You don't have to be an expert.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know what you're saying. At the end of the day, you ask these questions. These questions become more important when something bad happens to you, and you want to know why that's happened.
yeah,
We're talking about observing people in a documentary and things from our past and
quite
stuff.
abstract though.
Yeah, for sure. But then there's things that happen to us every day that you if you understand where people are coming from, it can help you deal with it and move on with your life and not get too hung up and chewing it over and mulling it over in your mind because you're like, just can't handle somebody doing something like cutting you off and beeping at you and calling you a twat or something. You know what I mean? It's like, just if you have to find a way to let that go. Especially if you're like the kind of person to get really, really worked up about something like that, like myself.
Yeah.
I can't just let it go. Like, I'll be shaking with anger and worked up when stuff like that happens to me. So you need to find a way to put it to bed.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a technique that you can use for all kinds of things, mate. And so no, there's nothing wrong with that.
100%. And I think recognizing what helps me at least, because I used to be a dick, right? And now I know it feels weird to say I'm a good person, but I actively try to be a good person, which is why I feel like I can say that.
That's good enough, man. It's like you can't. Yeah, that's close enough to.
If there's an opportunity or chance to do a good thing, I will
For
do
now.
a good thing,
Yeah,
right? And that is the way that I've been for ages. And
I know that of you. I've seen you do it.
yeah, and it's not for any. I guess there is a reward because I like the feeling of making other people feel good. So it's like a selfish way of being selfless. A selfish has negative connotations, right? It's not a negative thing. It's just mutually beneficial is a better way.
Mate, this is when you give money to charity, when you do a act of good, you are allowed to feel good for doing it. You know, if we were completely selfless and did nothing but help other people to their benefit and our detriment, then you'd end up with nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to allow yourself to reward yourself and give yourself a little pat on the back for doing something good. So yeah, don't beat yourself up about that too much, man. Like,
I think that comes from the childhood again, you know. So from when I was little, like I said, every time I tried to get out of my comfort zone, I was rammed back in there by what I refer to as bar guys. And I'll just quickly explain what a bar guy is, because I use that phrase quite a lot. So I know when you're on a night out and you're at a club or something, and there tends to be a few different types of people, but two of them, there's one that he's the only guy in the room and he's dancing, he's having a fantastic time, right? Eyes closed, throwing it up, he's having a great time. And there's a one at the bar with his drink who's taking a piss out of the one that's having a great time. So they're so insecure, they can't let other people have fun. So they see this guy having a great time. Look at that fucking dickhead. He's embarrassing himself. Everybody's looking at him. Where that other guy isn't thinking about anybody else other than, oh, this is a fucking absolute banging beat. Which one's happier when they go home? That fucking bar guy, that loser who's so insecure, he won't dance and he won't leave the bar. He just stands there judging everybody else. Or this guy who doesn't even know the bar guy exists.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Well,
So
follow it through. What does the bar guy want? Right, everybody stop having fun so I can just sit here and have a quiet pint.
yeah, what are you in a club for? Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
You're there standing there trying to look cool, hoping that you like, oh no, I'm too above this. Like, I'm too cool to join in. Get over yourself, you dickhead, and go have a dance, innit?
So that's a bar guy, yeah?
Yeah. So that is a bar guy. So people like that. So that obviously translates to normal life. So the type of people that have to put everybody else down. A good example is I did something for some local fishermen went missing, and I shaved my head on stream to raise them some cash. I made like a song, and I just did what I could to help out. And I'm still in touch with a couple of other families and stuff. Just if they need to talk, I'm here. I messaged them on Mother's Day and said, like, I understand it must be a hard day. If you need to chat, I'm here for you and stuff.
I know what you're talking about. That was a very, very deeply sad moment.
Yeah, horrendously sad moment. Horrendously sad. Like, and I just wanted to do whatever I could just to alleviate a bit of this horrible mess. Right? Is it like just even if it's just batting the flies away from the shit? Like, I want to like help somehow and make them feel better. And then I had people. I've heard of people saying that it was only doing that so he could get the attention and this, that, and the other. Right? Which
are you talking about social media?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not real life then.
That's bar guys, and it's not real life, right? So I said the entire time that if I could have done it anonymously, I would have, but I had to use my platform to help. That's the whole point. I was raising awareness, and I was live streaming, and I was sharing it. So there was no way I could have done it anonymously.
No, it's just it's so much easier to just sit on your ass and just send a message.
But at the same time,
like,
I understand how easy
they've
it
done nothing,
is.
and they're comparing their opinion with your opinion. Like,
exactly.
Piss off,
and I understand how easy it is to be cynical, right? Like,
I'm a cynical person myself. Don't get me wrong, I'm cynical as fuck.
Like, the whole world really does seem to be tit for tat, everything for everything. But then what matters is I know that the actual people that I helped, it's indescribable. Like how many times they have tried to articulate how grateful they are. It doesn't matter. The entire world could think, you only did this for this reason. But they know my actual human connection between me and that person. I know what I've done for them, and just the fact that I could help them a tiniest bit, that makes me feel fantastic.
So that's something that's in your toolbox for like dealing with the shite of life and cheering the dock up, right? That's something that you've got there you can pull out when you need it. Yeah. If you see an opportunity to help somebody, you should always take it, and you shouldn't feel guilty if it makes you feel good too. Like, what's wrong with that? It's like reciprocal. It makes the world go round. Yeah. You know what you get a lot of in London? No, this is like not even funny, bro. You know, there's like a lot of elderly people that live here, right? A lot of people want to retire here, and therefore the population is pretty old. Like, you don't have to wait many days before you're picking up an old person in the street. God love them. Yeah. Like, it's like, honestly, mate.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times.
Yeah, it's a regular occurrence. Like,
it's the heat in it, the heat.
Well, yeah,
and they drop.
And the fact they're 90. And, but this woman, I remember I picked her up in the street, man. She'd fallen over, and cars were driving around her. She'd fallen over in the road.
Fucking hell.
She was trying to cross the road. Imagine you're so weak that you can't get up, right, and you fall over whilst trying to cross the road. Can you imagine what that feels like, right?
Who the fuck drives around that as well, isn't it?
I mean, it's just totally unacceptable. So I saw what was going on and stepped in and was like cursing out a couple of the drivers as they were driving past. I'm like, what the fuck are you? Yeah. Where are you going?
Yeah,
where are you going?
How important
there's something
this
going
meeting?
on? Yeah, exactly. Where is it you're headed to? That's more important than this poor woman. It could be your grandma lying here in the fucking street. And then I helped her up and brushed it down, and we went and she wanted to withdraw some money from the bank. So I was like, of course I'll do that with you. You know what I mean? And it's just
that makes me uncomfortable. That makes me worried.
Well, mate, this is where we're all going. This is where we're all headed. Like, this is the point of living the healthier life, so you can get to be 92. Yeah, that would be. No, I don't know if that's as much fun as it sounds, to be honest with you.
No, me neither.
But no, it's at the end of the day, like you're allowed to feel good about helping that person. You know, maybe it's supposed to be that way. That's like it's something telling you that you're going in the right direction when you help other people. And it's a tool that's up there.
It's your brain's a reward system, and helping other people. We're a social species, right? That's the whole point. It feels good to know you've helped someone else, and whether that is a minuscule is just smiling at them when you walk past, right? And that can really change the direction of someone's day. I've been so low where just a smile or a little bit of human interaction has sent me off on a different course. But it makes me uncomfortable because I know I'm nice because I actively try to be. But then when vulnerable people just are open to trust me, I am the right type of person because I know I'm not going to be a cunt about it. But in the old flat me and Kate used to live in, the guy that lived downstairs had learning difficulties, and he was a little creature of habit. And every Wednesday he'd walk down to the chippy and he'd get his chippy tea, and he'd be so excited when he got back. He'd come and knock on our door and I've got my chippy tea today. I'm like, oh, that's lovely, buddy. Okay, like we're just having our dinner too, and have a little chat with him. And then I was walking back towards the house, like from the direction of the chippy, and he was walking up. He's like, oh, hi Tom. Can you check and make sure I've got enough money there to get my chippy tea? And he opened his wallet, mate, and it was like 300-400 quid in there in cash.
Oh, right.
In 20s, and he just handed it to me. Right, I was like, "You've got more than enough for your chippy tea here, mate."
I remember when you got those new trainers.
Like, you could have like a whale for tea. So then I said to him, I was like, "You shouldn't be carrying this amount around, and you shouldn't just hand it out either." So he said, "Can you look after it?" Then I was like, "No. I'm not taking this off you, mate. What you should do, you should take out £10, keep hold of that, and put the rest on your inside pocket zipped up. Right, that £10 will cover all of your costs for your chippy, and then you can get home." And then I got home, and I don't know what it's called. It was like kind of like he lived on his own, but he had people come around every couple of days, do his shopping.
Yeah, it was assisted living, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought that's what it was. So I waited until I saw his carer again, and I said like he's carrying all his cash around with him, and it's a mistake. We're very lucky to live where we live, and we live in like a nice community spirited place, but there's bastards everywhere, and vulnerable people like that is a prime target. Like he was far older than me, like late 50s, early 60s maybe, but he was precious. Like he had this like energy to him where he was just innocent, and this is gorgeous actually. It made me and Kate cry. I'm getting a lump in my throat just thinking about it now. When we moved out, he drew us a picture and he framed it.
Oh my god!
Right, and it's like a picture of this kind of bird thing, and then
it wasn't with his finger, and it wasn't poo. Was it? Just checking. Not okay.
No,
okay, just checking.
No.
Sorry to spoil the mood.
It was lovely.
No, but that's amazing. You actually put it in a frame and presented it to you. That's beautiful, mate.
And then he found out that it was close to the kids' birthdays. And he went in and he wrapped up one of his toy cars in newspaper to give to my son, and like some
oh my god
teddy to give to my daughter. And he was saying, oh, you'll come back and visit, won't you? You'll come back and visit, and we'll have a cup of tea. You'll have to come in for a cup of tea. And I've been back once, which it sounds awful because I don't know, we moved a couple of years ago, but obviously it's been a pandemic as well.
See, you can tell you're a truthful guy because you could have made yourself sound like a legend and said, and every Wednesday we have that chippy tea.
No,
we have a little cuddle. We watch Emmerdale.
I've been back once, but like this, just to kind of ruin the mood and to stop me sounding like a good person, right? I love helping him when I was there, but I'm a human being who's very busy with a limited patience line, and it's very frustrating. There's certain times he will cross lines because he doesn't understand the social boundaries or whatever it is. He'll cross a line, or he'll say something like he's commented on the attractiveness of my girlfriend a few times to her face, and he said something real vulgar about like what he'd do to that arse or something like that, right? And I can't blame him, right?
He says, "I'm gonna have chips and gravy off your ass if you let me."
Yeah, what chippy tea out of those cheeks, like, and like she is gifted. She does have a serious blunder on it, and so I can understand.
So this person with learning difficulties is slobbering all over your girlfriend's butt.
So
talk about awkward.
He would cross the line sometimes, and then I would obviously have to kind of rein him in, and then any kind of confrontation was, he kind of acted like a child, so he acted the same way that my a son would, but he's not a 5-year-old boy I can pick up and put on the step. He's a fully grown man.
Well, people in that position, they don't like to be treated like special and with kid gloves and stuff. They get frustrated with it like you would do, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course you would. I think my girlfriend's arse and disabled people is a pretty good place to wrap up episode 2 of Cheer the Duck Up. We do hope we have helped. Make sure you follow us on our social medias, rate the podcast if you have an opportunity, subscribe, all that good jazz, and I'll see you next week. Enjoy your week. Goodbye.
See you later, everybody. Much love.